Hi, you guys. Welcome back. My name is Carrie Penny. I am the Happy Crafty Homemaker, and welcome to show and tell number 297. We're getting so close to 300. I cannot believe, once again, how many of these we have done. This is going to be a longer episode. I do have two finished objects to talk about. We have a ton of things that have gotten touched. We have the Project UFO project that I have pulled out to work on. We have different media to talk about. We do have one acquisition I want to tell you about. So there's just a lot. It's been 2 weeks. Last week we had all of the wrap up from March and Q1 of the make-alongs. We are now into April's make-along. We just had Easter and Holy Week. I spent all day Thursday. I left here at 11:30 in the morning, and I didn't get back until Thursday. I think I was back at almost 10, between 9:30 and 10. And then Friday I left again around 1 o'clock, and I got back around 6 o'clock. And then Saturday, thankfully, most of the day was spent at home. I did make a run to Hobby Lobby. We'll talk about the failures of that, and the fact I had to place a premiere order because of that failure. And Sunday was Easter. So, I mean, it's been like boom, 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 boom all last week. I was so glad I was able to reach out to Diana and Bella and get their, gift prizes. They're not prizes, they're gifts. Participation gifts for the make-alongs out to them and stuff. It's just been, like I said, it's been crazy hectic here. The rest of the month is kind of going to go the same way. Actually, I think right now through the month of May, for sure, is going to be pretty banana pants. So it is what it is. It's like I said, we're going one appointment to the next appointment. My eye appointment's finally coming up this week. It's just, actually, when this goes live, I will be at the eye doctor. So we'll make sure I don't have cataracts, and we'll get a new eyeglass prescription, I'm sure. My astigmatism has definitely gotten worse. I'm starting to notice a lot more starbursting when I wear my glasses, especially at night. So even though I have starburst during the daytime as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and we will head on to our works in progress. Okay, so we are going to start with the two that are off here to the side. We'll talk about the failure of Hobby Lobby. So I have Michael's and Hobby Lobby nearby. That's all I have. So if I, want to get a yarn in person, that's really my only options. Our Michael's does sell like some blanket yarn and stuff, or Walmart. That's really it. So I, on the flatbed machine, started working on some baby blankets. This one is wider than it looks. It is definitely longer than it needs to be, though. So I'm bordering this. We will kind of fix that just a little bit. Blocking it will also do it some good. It's got, let's see. I was trying to do kind of the blanket size that's in between like a toddler and a baby blanket. So that's really how wide it is. But then when you compare it to the length, it is quite a long little blanket, I guess, there. So this is using Loops and Thread Snuggly Wuggly Big. And I just used the whole skein because I think when I hit the right length on this is just, zipped up on the flatbed machine. It took me about an hour to knit this up. This is 297 grams. This is a size 3 yarn, so it fits for the quarterly make along. It's also 3 colors. We have lavender, coral, and white in here. Yeah, I'm just test running this, but I did realize when I got these done Thursday night or Tuesday night last week, I've never knit on a border. I have always either crocheted on a border or knit a border as I went. I've never knit a blanket where I've knit a border after the fact. So I actually had to go get a tutorial for that. If I can find the tutorial, I will leave it linked down below. She did a rib tutorial. I'm testing it out on the yellow scarf that I machine knit. I'm playing with it on that before I start doing the blankets, but I was like, it's not the knitting on or picking up stitches I was confused about. Is the how to do the corner increases to get a nice even corner there. And I will tag the creator I found, as well as put her video in here and stuff, but if I can re-find it. But I died laughing Thursday night when I realized, or Tuesday night, I've never done that before. How weird is that? The other one I did uses 2 cakes of Wishing Well Lion Brand mandala. I have I used 1.5 skeins for this, which is also 300 grams. But I have 1.5 left. I was hoping to just do see, this one's much shorter. The gauge on this is a little bit lighter. And you can see they're not perfectly the same width, but I was able to match up the skeins here. That's where I joined the skeins, was in the blues. But yeah, I want to make sweaters. So I have one of these to be able to do the border, and I'll have a ripple or a ridge stitch border in this. And I've got another skein. So if I need another one to do a sweater, I easily can do that. I wanted to do a sweater using the mandala. So I was hoping to find either one of these colors or one of our 3 shades of blue here in a size 3 yarn as well. My Hobby Lobby had nothing. They had like crayon baby blue, which is just too bright up against this. And they had no browns. They had pure white, and this is not pure white like it kind of looks. It looks white with speckles. So it was too much up against the yarn here. So I placed an order. I've got 2 skeins of one anti-pilling DK in brown. And I have 2 shades of blue, 2 skeins each coming. And hopefully one of those is going to work to border this. Otherwise, I will use the Premier yarn to do a baby sweater. And I'll just knit the rest into a blanket or something. And the baby sweater doesn't have to perfectly match the blanket, in my opinion. It just needs to kind of vaguely coordinate if I'm going to give this as a gift, especially if this is a donation gift. Vague coordination, I think, is fine as long as the colors aren't like totally, like I'm not doing a pink blanket or pink sweater to go with a blue blanket. Some of these are going to be gifts. Some of these are going to be donated to, we have a crisis pregnancy organization here. So some of these will go for next year's mother's banquet, or I think there's one in the fall. So that's future planning down the road. But anyway, we're going to have to make this work some other way. There was nothing at Michael's. Michael's just really hasn't been coming out with anything in the DK weight range, and I believe this is a discontinued color, so I wouldn't have a perfect match anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, so that is, I did get those started. I do have a size 5 60-inch ChiaoGoo needle. I may have to pull out my interchangeables and put some cables together and make an 80-inch needle to border these. I did use a size 8 to start picking up the stitches on the scarf. Now that one is worsted weight and it is a 6-foot scarf, but I'm halfway done picking up the stitches. It was something I was doing before bed last night. I'm halfway through picking up the stitches, and on the 40-inch, I'm almost out of room. So these will condense a lot more, to be fair, but I do have a 60-inch and a 40-inch size 5 needle that I can use for this. So that's a lot of words just to say I have some baby blankets started. I told you this is going to be a long episode. I am in a very chit-chatty mood and I have so much stuff. I've touched so many things. So in the world of blanket for Project UFO for the month of April, I have pulled out my scrap Sport and DK weight corner to corner. I have not touched this since last year, last time y'all saw this. So whenever that was, I might have a marker on here. Yeah, so this is the last time y'all saw this, it was down here. So I'm going to go ahead and move the marker up to where we are today. And I am going to be working on this in the background, hopefully. So this will go for the quarterly goal, as well as April's theme is color, color, color. So I'm hoping I can at least get through my box of leftovers in the month of April. So I don't know when we'll check in on this again. I mean, we're at like shawl size right now. I have not turned a corner yet, have I? No. So I'll need to see where we are. I think these are supposed to be 60 by 90. This is a donation for transitions. This also would have been a cute baby blanket in theory, but what I have now. So I had one mandala left over from doing a shawl last year. This is Neverland, or year before last. I have 1.5 skeins of Fable and Snow White left over from another project. And I'm not going to do something with these just on their own, so I figured I'd go ahead and throw that in there. I have some little nuggets. I had 1 skein of Urban Chic in, what color are you? It just says gray. So I'm going to add this in. I have some Bernat satin here. I have a partial of some Lion Brand Baby. So I'm just going to work on adding. Oh, and I have this bit from the scarf that I made earlier this year on the knitting machine. I'm going to make the hat out of the other bit. But yeah, so I have an entire bin of this. I'm going to work on adding this into the blanket, and we'll just see how far I can get. And as I make sport and DK weight scraps, obviously I will be adding these to the bin. So the sooner I can get stuff knocked down out of this, technically, the better will be. Now I am filming this Tuesday, so 2 days ahead of you guys seeing it. Today is class day with Sherry Dumbrell on the knitting machine. We are doing a boat neck sweater. Today is doing the sleeves for that. So while I am watching the class, I am hoping to knit off the base centers for at least 2 more blankets. It's a 2-hour workshop. I can get 2 more blankets done. I do have more ravel cord. I bought a spool of it. I'm not worried about running out of it, as one of the things I wanted to do was doing blankets. Cutting the larger pieces of the nylon cording doesn't bother me. It actually kind of suits my purposes fairly well. So that is that. Oh, I do have a couple acquisitions down here. Really long video. So socks that I cast on at the beginning of the year. We have the salt and pepper socks. Last time you saw these, we were down here. We were getting close to needing to put in the heel. I have now done that. I actually finished that Sunday going to and from Mass. And then yesterday on my walk, that is as far as we got. So we got this far on the sock as well as doing the heel. Since y'all saw these last. These are on US size 1 Chalgu needles, 40-inch, 2 at a time. I cast on 72 stitches for these. These are for my husband. And this is Mary Maxim Simply Sock in gray and quarry. But I'm calling them salt and pepper. So if you see my Ravelry projects, some of these are already up there. These are listed as the salt and pepper socks. I am trying to keep up with my projects on Ravelry. I'm not doing a fantastic job. To nobody's surprise, I do prefer using my analog methods. Up next, the other one that was one of the beginning of the year cast-ons are my Universal Stanza socks. This is a discontinued Universal yarn. The stripes are not supposed to line up, although we do kind of have, It's an obvious we're in reverse here. I am working off the single skein. These are now ready for heels. This is the colorway Blake. Once again, US size 1, Chalgu needle, 40 inch. Last time you saw these, we were at the toe. I had just done the toe. So while I was waiting to do the heel on the salt and pepper socks, I took these walking and in the car. These have been my go-to project. These are for me. I cast on 64 stitches for these. And I think I'm going to use one of the colors of stroll that I have on the bookcase to do the heels. And all of these socks are in different T-Doddles, mini maker bags. I was part of her bag of the month club. I love her bags. I love her fabric, but I had too many, so I decided to slow down on purchasing. I'm trying to rotate through what I have. So I have cast on 2 new pairs of socks. First off, these are for me. These are the heel tab socks, and these are in hamburger. This is Deborah Norville Serenity sock from Premier. It's discontinued, I believe. And this was the color Cocoa. I do have my stripes matching on these. I took the extra from in between, put those in my scrap shoal bin. And this is what the yarn looks like in the little mini cakes. I was able to put the ball band back around those. So Felici and Hamburger from Knit Picks. Once again, 64 stitches. I will leave a link for the heel tab pattern. I did find that again and put that down below in the description box. The corner to corner blanket, by the way, is size J hook, corner to corner. There's no pattern for that. The other pair that I cast on are Troy's Buddy Socks. So we will have matching socks for Christmas. So the toes are done in Cascade Heritage. I cannot remember the color number, and the yarn is Knit Picks Felici in Buddy. So hopefully when I cut in the heel, it won't be up against the green color, and I'll be able to stick to the green. Otherwise, I will do a white heel for his. And that is all of the WIPs. Thank goodness. And I did put these back in the same bag I used for mine. This is the Dinosaur Christmas bag, and we have the retro lining. Love it. Like I said, the details in her bags, the fabric she uses, the different coordinating area here. I love the soft twill that she uses. And these make, for me, excellent little wrist bags as I'm knitting and walking to carry these around in. So we have 4 that I've worked on in the last 2 weeks, 2 new cast-ons, 2 from the beginning of the year. I do have 4 sets of socks pulled together to cast on for my dad. So I'm going to work the next week to get those cast on as well. And those will actually probably be, as soon as I'm done with the salt and pepper socks, those will be the primary things that I work on for the next month. Getting those socks done for my dad. Those will be my walking socks and car project more than likely. So let's regather our wits here, and we will move on. I actually have 3 finished objects I forgot about. Forgot about one. Okie dokie artichoke. Let's lock in. So I know I'm talking really, really fast. A lot of that's just because I know we have a lot of ground to cover, especially if we're going to include media this time, which we forgot last time. There's a lot of stuff to talk about. So I did finish my Victoria Methodist Bristol Lenten shawl. As expected, we did, this is from the beginning. We hit the middle and we came back down with the same pattern. Last time you guys saw this, we were right here and we finished off here. So this is what I mean. We're normally, you knit the border as you go. This was a seed stitch border that's 15 rows here and like 15 stitches over here. I used my little sheepy marker from the Simply Yarn Co. subscription box that I did. Yeah, so I do want to do this in off-white for myself. I do think what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go down one size, maybe. I haven't decided yet. I do have an off-white, like a creamy, undyed off-white, not a dyed, yellowy off-white, that I think I'm going to make this out of. And that one will be for me. This one is for donation or gifting. I'm thinking this will be a good one to send to the Sisters of Charity next time they want to have shawls from us. But I do love this pattern. It was, you know, very nice to go through and walk through. We did get a little bit more scripture reading type stuff towards the end, which I appreciate because, you know, as a Christian, that is kind of the point of Lent. But like I said, I mean, the pattern's beautiful and on its own. But before this last week, we really weren't in that like preaching at zone. We did get a little bit more religion interjected into it, other than, you know, like a psalm or something. Although one of them did do Lectio Divina style psalm reading, which I thought was really, really nice. That was a little bit different. So loved it. That's using Lion Brand Touch of Alpaca and Taupe. I used almost 3 full jumbo skeins. This was 200 grams. So it's just shy of 600 grams. This is all I have left from the 3rd ball. So very impressed with how all of this kind of came together. I did the size 4 shawl with a worsted weight yarn and a size 8 needle. It also has directions for turning this into a poncho. So if like yours isn't shawl length, you can turn it into a poncho at the end. Next up, this is kind of like a little throwaway thing to put in here, but I did make this on the knitting machine. I do need to weave in the ends and block it, but this is a cast on rag. And I told you guys I kind of, you know, interject some of the machine knitting stuff in as we went. I've got to find the right edge. So you can see here on the edge, we have these little loops. And that is so instead of having to cast on, I can hang this, especially using the ravel cord, the lime green yarn that you saw in the blankets, and come back across with the ravel cord and then start my project. And then I can pull the ravel cord out and it leaves live stitches on our work. But then I have this to make casting on easier at the end. This is just using some Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn that was in my totes in there. Worked on the bias. I believe it was Sally Butcher's tutorial I kind of followed for doing this. But I'm not quite sure because I kind of did this on the fly having watched a tutorial, but it's on the bias. That's why it's one of the reasons why it's extra twisty. So I did finish that. that is something that is a finished project for machine knitting, other than weaving in ends and blocking. So the other thing I finished is Troy's Wild, or just Blue Yonder socks, not Wild Blue Yonder, Blue Yonder. I finished with 25 rows of 2x2 rib. Last time you saw them, they were right here. So I was almost done with these. Last time you saw these are Simply Yarn Co. Splash Sock Base and Knit Picks Hawthorne in Compass. Hawthorne Tonal Compass. And this is a color number sock yarn from Simply Sock Yarn Co. If there's still have more of these splash sock, I will leave that. They had the mystery boxes. My Little Pony socks were also done with the splash sock. So we'll see how Troy likes these. Every pair I'm done for him this year, these first 4 pairs or first 3 pairs this year, the ones I did last year, will give him an idea of how he likes the fit of these. These were 72 stitches. The dusky stripes were 76 stitches. So we'll let him decide which ones he likes more. When I get the buddy socks done, that will give him his first soft sock yarn, because that is a much more slippery yarn. It's much more like summer weight sock, whereas these are more like the winter weight socks so far. So we'll see what he thinks. He hasn't worn the dusky socks yet, and I'll add these to his laundry pile today. So hopefully we'll know what he thinks. He has been wearing the blue ones in the Hawthorne yarn quite a bit. So we'll see what he thinks of these two, compare them. Well, hopefully the Mary Maxims will be done here shortly, so he'll have those also to compare. But all 4 of those are winter weight socks, so we're getting a little warm for those types. All right, let's go ahead. We'll move over to acquisitions, and then we'll wrap up with some media. All right, so first thing I want to talk about is the new card deck that I was recommended has been released. So this is a new release. This is from Leonie Morgan. And this is the Bright and Bold Granny Square deck. So this is just like the other granny decks where you get a different pattern. My pile of stuff just fell over. I knew I should have moved that. Each card has a different pattern on it. It makes it easy to just kind of take things with you. I am enjoying the other project. The thing is I just kind of ran out of scraps to add variety. Although I do now have scraps, so I'm hoping to get caught back up. As soon as I'm done casting on socks, I'm hoping to get caught back up on Project Granny Deck. So that is hopefully coming soon. I was placing an order on Thrift Books because I was looking for a specific book that's out of print. And I did come across 3 books that I thought would be interesting to add to my collection. So first off, we have Vogue Knitting Shawls on the Go. And this is a petite book. And we just kind of have, you know, some variety of shapes, some different details, different textures. Thought that was fun. I especially liked the fact that, you know, like on the cover, we had this one where it looks like we're creating a wedge and then picking up and creating the next wedge. Then I also, because they had it, got shawl too. I think I paid like $4 each for these, so it's not like they were particularly large investments. These seem to be a little bit more on the delicate side, a little bit lighter weight. But as I make a ton of shawls, I thought, you know, just for inspiration, even if I don't necessarily use the patterns directly, I do like those cables on that, especially with the irregularness of them. And then I just thought this was, part of it is just that the cover piece is magnificent. Look at that. Like, how do you, that is a jacket sweater. You can tell this is the sleeve and this is a sleeve and then this is the back. I mean, that is just beyond dramatic. And everything in this is, you know, high drama, multi-directional patterns. This is Swing Swagger Drape by Jane Slicer Smith. Knit the Colors of Australia. So somebody in one of the machine knitting groups had actually made one of the jacket patterns in here. And I had written this down as something to maybe get from the library. And they had it on Thrift Books. And once again, it was like $4. And I was like, well, that's kind of serendipitous. Not everything is, you know, something I would necessarily wear, but taking inspiration to maybe build a different piece. And this does seem to be very much a design your own piece, even though there are patterns type book. So I am just very interested in kind of seeing what else is in here. I haven't had time to spend any time with these at all. Like I said, and particularly last week, we just nonstop. We were flat out. So hopefully over the next week or two, I will have a little bit more downtime in between appointments and stuff like that. And hopefully I can take something with me and like read in the lobby somewhere. But that is where we are. That wraps up our acquisitions. Let's move right along. Like I said, this is going to be such a long episode, and I'm hoping I can continue going for the next little bit for media. So forgive the post-workout slick back that does me no justice, naked mole rat face and all that good stuff. But yeah, so like I kept saying in the video that I filmed yesterday, this was going to be a long one. And unfortunately with media, we also had a couple of moments where my mic flipped and I didn't catch it. So we have some muffling. You can understand me, but it's just not that great. So let's see if we can keep this under 12 minutes, which will reduce it by 50% and get us through this fairly quickly. So watching media, we're still watching Ghost UK. The last 2 weeks, we've only had like 4 or 5 nights where we've actually been able to like sit down and enjoy dinner and watch something. So even trying to get through a 30-minute show has been a little bit difficult, but we are up to where Allison has just told her husband she is maybe pregnant, and Pat kind of freaked out. So it was the April Fool's episode for whichever season. I don't know what season we're even on anymore. Still loving it. Still think Robin is just the cutest little caveman possible. I love the fact that they made him a fully intelligent human who just had to learn stuff in the afterlife. He's just still Robin every episode. Yeah, enjoying it. It's a comedy, so it's not like not a whole lot to say. It's not like there's a intense, deep character development, although there is appropriate character development for this show. You are invested in the characters. When Mary got sucked off, I rather missed her. Anyway, so we've been watching that. We watched the movie Other Life, which I personally enjoyed. I would give it a B- zone. Sci-fi technology that allows you to relive or live moments inside your head, up many years inside your head, minutes in the real world. So if anybody's watched Deep Space Nine, they do a really good example of why this is a bad idea and why it's torturous in so many ways, because the bad applications of this are horrific. Although the main character altruistically is developing this technology, as with many major technological advances, there's huge pros and cons on both ends. It's just like CRISPR technology. Everybody freaks out about gene editing, but this could be majorly beneficial to so many people if used appropriately. It also could be majorly devastating if used inappropriately as well. So I thought they treated the material maturely, respectfully. I thought it was a really interesting movie. You genuinely cared about the main character. You also, while the villain, you don't necessarily like or feel compassion for. In many ways, you can understand how you go down the path he does. So, like I said, I thought it was good. Is it worth movie theater prices? No. I'm realizing with just the ring light on how dark my room appears. It is actually quite bright in here because of the natural light coming in through the closed blinds still. I guess this is why we're getting so much feedback lighting in here when I film. Anyway, Troy didn't like it. He thought it was depressing. So interesting to have two different, he prefers more futuristic, old school Gene Roddenberry Star Trek, where there's a promise of hope for the future. Whereas this was more modern day sci-fi where it's modern society. What can you say? The other thing I've been watching is School Spirits. I did finish season 1. Many of you guys told me to be prepared for the finale. I actually called the 2 big turns. So this has a lot to do with having, like, when I was a young adult, this being my genre, primary genre, but also, you know, really enjoying mystery things and supernatural mystery things. So I actually called both what happened to the main character and what's going on with the teacher. Now, I missed some of the minor details in the how, but I did identify who and what. So I have not started season 2 yet. I will continue to watch that. I have not had a day off in 4 weeks. So a day off for me is when I can have a pajama day. Like, I'll normally still get up and work out, take a shower, put on pajamas, and do nothing for the rest of the day. No cleaning, no housework, no managing life or anything else. Now, I have had some really nice mornings. Like this morning, I was up at 2 a.m. because Mr. Pippin decided it was time to get up. So I have had like good crafting time, but I'm not normally like in the mindset to, you know, tuck in for a show or something. So anyway, I enjoyed the show. I've enjoyed season 1 so far. I am curious as to how they're going to continue for another 2 seasons. Now we have set up for season 2 and what that storyline is going to entail. Yeah. So I'm still enjoying that. Now, as far as listening, I did finish a fiction novel. I'm trying to alternate nonfiction and fiction. I finished a fiction novel. I can't remember the name of it. We'll talk about that next week. I'm currently reading audiobook Apollo 13 by Jim Lovell. So those we will discuss next week. I finished Becoming Free Indeed by Ginger Duggar Volo. So this is not a book for everybody, and she actually talks about that in the book in a number of places. She specifically wrote this book with her friends in mind, in particularly the friends who were raised in the same environment as her under the IBLP and their teachings, and have left faith. Whether they left faith or deconstructed faith. For her, she walks through her faith reconstruction process, more or less, going back to scripture and trying to find what does she actually believe. But in the course of this, like in her mind, she's writing a book about faith, this is a book about faith and refining faith and redefining faith as an adult. But because we, in so many ways, see her growth through the book, from her teenage years to present as a grown woman, married with children. We also see her developing her own identity, which is very relatable for most of us, irregardless of coming up in a high control environment. As we grow up, we eventually have to start defining ourselves, defining our own relationships, and defining who we are becoming and who we are. And we actually see kind of like an entire blossoming of who Ginger Volo is, what track she's on, and where she wants to go in life. And I thought it was very fascinating. I was not brought up in a high control environment. I was brought up kind of agnostic, loosely Christian. If we went to a church, we went to a Lutheran church. I was baptized Southern Baptist and converted to Roman Catholicism as an adult. So my faith journey has been a very different journey than what she experienced being raised in a high control environment. If you want to know more about the IBLP, yes, Shiny Happy People is a really good documentary to look into. I would actually recommend a number of the interviews that have been done by Shalise Ansola on her channel, Cults to Consciousness. She has an entire playlist dedicated to the IBLP specifically on her channel. So I will tag her down below. I think she is an amazing interviewer. She has interviewed Amy, the Duggar's cousin. And, you know, talked about the book that she has written as well. But she is a very good interviewer. She allows people to tell their story, occasionally leading them in the direction that would benefit for the purpose of interview. A lot of her interviews are over an hour, so you actually get a good time with people, and many times they'll do a live afterwards so people can ask their questions after the original episode airs. So I do highly recommend, if you're more interested really about the IBLP outside of 19 Kids and Counting, or, you know, any of the other tabloidic media that we've seen. If you're interested in people who have left and what their actual stories are, I would recommend Shalise Ansola's channel. Ginger doesn't really discuss controversy. This is really about her faith progression and her growing into adulthood, and her husband trying to figure out adult life together, which I think is a very beautiful thing. We tend to forget that we're supposed to grow together, and continue growing together as we age as a couple. So she also talks about trying to define who she wants to be as a mother versus the environment that she was raised in as well. So I thought it was really good. I am not the target audience, though. I think the questions she was asking, I think, showed extreme maturity, really good thought, genuine concern. And I think she's coming from her perspective, which, you know, is still being a Christian, because she didn't do faith deconstruction. She did faith reconstruction. She is still finding her own path. I don't think she's quite found her permanent adulthood yet, which is fine. You don't have to find your permanent adulthood at any point in time. We should continue once again to grow and learn as we continue to age. But this isn't a book meant for everybody. So if you're looking for like the tabloid stuff, this isn't it. This is definitely a memoir and a book of hope in a lot of ways. And it is really genuinely written from a place of love. Some of the things she talks about is, you know, not only did she grow up in a high control environment when it came to family and religion, but, you know, she grew up with built-in friends and built-in intimacy with her friends, with her sisters and her cousin. And when you leave home for the first time, many of us experience that isolation feeling, that loss, and I don't know how to people. I don't know how to adult. I don't know how to engage. And she actually explores a lot of that in this book. And because of her experiences, I don't know that she necessarily knows that is actually a very normal thing. And I think, you know, she discusses having extreme anxiety and stuff. And I'd love to know more about how she has worked to overcome that as she's progressed through the, you know, actualization stage and stuff, and understanding what's going on, because that can be very crippling for a lot of people if not handled appropriately. And so we see these huge snapshots of very important growth and development of, you know, somebody we knew as a child growing up on television into adulthood, and the trials and tribulations, because she's still in the spotlight, you know, trying to adjust to marriage and trying to have her own family. And, you know, how do you protect your family from the negativity of the media while still participating in that world? I mean, she explores a lot of, I think, very interesting topical things over the course of the book as well, and how she copes with those things and how she started coping with these things. So her story is definitely not over. I know her and her husband have a podcast as well, but I thought it was really interesting because I didn't really know what I was getting into with this book, and then came out of it feeling really oddly good, because it just was so relatable, having gone through so many of those stages in life myself. You know, I don't have children, but, you know, I've had to adapt to marriage. I've had to adapt to not living at home and not knowing anybody in a lot of the environments that I've moved to as an adult. So it is hard. And when you're supposed to be the adult in the room, you know, how anxiety producing that can be for so many people. So I don't know, it just hits so many different things in so many ways. It's like we talk about the coming of age story, but we don't talk of the when you're of age continuing development and continuing growth. So all of this is in the religion framework and religious reconstructive framework because of where she came from. But the things she experiences along the way that she chooses to talk about in this book are very relatable for so many of us, just women growing up and doing normal things. So once again, if you're looking for the tabloid stuff, not the book for you. But if you're looking for a young woman's journey through all of these things and coming to terms with so many things and reconciling things and finding their own path, I think it's a very interesting book. And it's written from a genuine place of love, which we very rarely see in memoirs anymore. So especially when it comes to something like this, having somebody come out with hope and love and kindness and generosity. So anyway, there we go. That is all I have for you. Let's go back to yesterday's Carrie. I love you guys. We'll have some pet tax here at the end. Other than that, I have nothing for you. I need to give my voice a break. I just filmed 3 videos straight through, and this is like 2 hours of talking. So I'm kind of hitting my vocal limit here, but I love you. I hope you guys are having a wonderful, fantastic day. Hopefully we'll have some progress on the blankets because I really want to see how those are going to turn out, but you know how life goes. Do check out Saturday's video. I'm unboxing row 1. We're almost done with the first project for that. I do ask a couple of questions at the end of that video, so if you wouldn't mind giving me your feedback, especially about our project. The project will make an appearance on a show and tell at the end of the month, as well as the project wrap up for April's Make Along. So if you refuse to watch the row 1, but do still enjoy the show and tells, you will eventually see what the super secret project is. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful, fantastic day. I look forward to seeing you real soon. Bye, you guys.